The Psychology of Money is written by Morgan Housel, a partner at Collaborative Fund and a former columnist at the Wall Street Journal. This book shifted my entire perception of money. Here is an outline of each chapter and the value offered in each, paired with my thoughts. Doing well with money has less to do with how smart you are and more to do with how you behave. Financial success is not a hard science. It's a soft skill determined by how you behave and the meaning you give to your decisions, largely based on your experiences during your teens and early adult years. The introduction makes it apparent how susceptible we all are to making financial decisions based on our psychology, not just what logically makes sense. Your personal experience of the world makes up approximately 0.000000001% of what has actually happened in the world, but is approximately 80% of how you think the world works. Some lessons need to be experienced before they can be understood. Emotional scars and resilience come from actual experiences. Your personal history regarding money will determine your willingness to take risks and how you perceive opportunities. Luck and risk are siblings. Every outcome in life is guided by these forces, not just individual effort. Your success might be due to luck, and your failure might be due to bad luck, risk, and not your approach. Bill Gates was lucky enough to attend one of the only schools that had a computer. His good friend, who was equally skilled in computers, died in an accident in his late teens. Two completely different outcomes due to luck-risk. The line between inspiringly bold and foolishly risky is thin and only seen in hindsight. The key point I took from this chapter is not to focus too much on specific approaches by individuals. They might have gotten lucky. Instead, focus on broader principles and approaches that are proven to work for larger numbers of people. For example, don't try to invest like Warren Buffett, individual. Invest like the top 20 investors, group. Don't risk something important to you for something of lower importance. For example, don't risk losing $100 for a $10 increase. Never feeling like you have enough can cause you to keep moving the goalposts and reduce your happiness for what you have. There are some things not worth risking, no matter the potential gain. This chapter discusses the trap of continually wanting more and not feeling like you have enough, and the risks associated with it. Key takeaways. The Ice Ages proved that you don't need tremendous force to create tremendous results. Using compounding, a small base can lead to extraordinary results. To generate Warren Buffett-like results, you'd need to start investing at a young age. His skill was investing, but his secret was time and compounding. Most people discount the compounding effect because it's exponential thinking, which seems to defy logic. Good investing is about earning good returns that you can stick with and repeat over the longest period of time, allowing compounding to run wild. It's sobering to realize that my lack of financial literacy in the first half of my life has reduced the opportunity for compounding to work its best for me. However, it's still valuable to understand how people generate wealth, to instill this knowledge into my daughter, and to make the most of compounding as much as I can. Staying wealthy. Key takeaways. Getting money is one part of the equation. Keeping money is the other part. Very few gains are ever worth risking so much that you get wiped out. Learn what Warren Buffett didn't do, didn't get carried away with debt, didn't panic sell during the 14 recessions he lived through, didn't risk his business reputation trying to cut corners, didn't attach himself to one worldview or one belief, didn't rely on others for money decisions, didn't burn himself out, quit, or retire. Have a survival mindset. Be financially unbreakable rather than chasing big gains. Planning is important, but also have a plan for when your plan doesn't work. Maintain an optimistic future outlook with a paranoid short-term view. I remember speaking to a billionaire in 2017 who said that wealth creation is really about wealth preservation. This message is echoed in Tony Robbins' book, Unbreakable. It's valuable to view things with paranoia in the short term while being reassured by the longer, optimistic outlook. Key takeaways. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. Don't underestimate how normal it is for most things to fail. Walt Disney made 400 cartoons before one, Snow White, was a success that paid all his debts and bought a new studio. 400 failures, one success. Your success is largely determined by how you react when everyone else around you is going crazy, and in those moments of terror. Expect to make some bad decisions. No one is capable of making good decisions all the time. It's not about whether you are right or wrong with your decisions. It's more about how much money you make when you are right, and how much you lose when you are wrong. This chapter emphasizes expecting and planning for failure. It also reminds me not to harshly judge failures, as they can often be stepping stones to big successes, as long as your losses don't take you out of the game. Key takeaways. The highest form of wealth is waking up each morning and saying, "I can do whatever I want today." Having a sense that you can control your time is a greater predictor of happiness and well-being than objective conditions in life, such as money in the bank or income level. Money's greatest intrinsic value, you see, is its ability to give you control over your time. Reactance. Doing something you love on a schedule you can't control can feel the same as doing something you hate. Your kids don't want your money, they want you and your time. This chapter helped me take stock of how I'm using my time and the demand creep that has started controlling more of it. The biggest heart-driven awakening was realizing that my 3-year-old daughter just wants to play with me and doesn't like it when I go into the office to work. She doesn't want the money, the profile, or the contribution. She just wants me and my time. This chapter will influence my near-future decisions to claw back control over my time for her and my wife. Key takeaways. Rich car driver paradox. The driver buys a rich car to seek significance from people, but most people ignore the driver and give significance to the car. We look at the car, not the driver. Respect and admiration come from humility, kindness, and empathy, not from having expensive things. This chapter was short but poignant, highlighting the unconscious drive for significance that might not achieve what we want. Key takeaways. Real wealth is unseen. It's the assets and savings that haven't yet been converted into things you can see. Rich is income. Rich people like making themselves seen. Wealth is income not spent, which is why wealth is harder to conceptualize. It's easy to find rich role models. Wealth role models are much harder to find because their success is hidden. It's much harder to learn something that is unseen and harder to imitate. Be wary of idolizing rich people, as they may be on a razor edge to being insolvent. This chapter was a good reminder of the pervasive influence of social media and media. It highlighted the importance of connecting back with what really matters, not what looks like it should matter. Key takeaways. Building wealth has less to do with your income and investment returns and more to do with your savings rate. We can't control many forces that influence our wealth, but we have 100% control over our personal savings rate. You can build wealth without a high income by creating a high savings rate, by learning to be happier with less spending to create a larger gap between income and expenses. Your savings rate can be defined as the gap between your income and your ego to having material things to impress others or make yourself feel worthy. Flexibility and time control are the unseen returns on wealth. This chapter motivated me to review and reduce unnecessary spending to increase our savings rate. Key takeaways. Because we are human, it's unreasonable to expect to be completely rational and unemotional about money decisions. Aim for reasonable decision-making instead. Rationally, a fever helps the body heal, but parents and even doctors often do what they can to quickly end a fever because fevers hurt. We naturally want to avoid hurt, even if it's not rational. The goal is to minimize future regret. My wife and I currently use a system for our money to avoid the emotional variations caused by money fluctuations and unexpected events. This chapter also explains why sometimes I feel emotional, even if logically I'm okay. Key takeaways. The most important events in history are the hardest to predict. Change and surprises are part of the money management landscape, not an exception. Expect things to go wrong and plan for your financial future to include them. It's more valuable to focus on not being wrong rather than trying to be always right. This chapter provided a great rationale for planning for surprises and not getting emotionally unsettled when things don't go to plan. Key takeaways. Margin of safety. Leaving room for error in all aspects of life allows you to take the unexpected and still keep moving forward. Always plan for the unexpected and leave room for error to avoid being derailed. This chapter gave me a good reminder of the importance of keeping a buffer in our finances and avoiding over-leveraging, even when opportunities look fantastic. Key takeaways. Long-term financial planning is difficult because people's goals and desires change over time. The trick is to accept that you might change, and build in as much flexibility as possible. This chapter gave me a perspective on planning for flexibility in life goals and investments, and not being too rigid about long-term plans. Key takeaways. The price of success in any field is usually not immediately visible. Many successful outcomes are a result of significant sacrifices. This chapter helped me understand the hidden costs behind success and not just see the end results. Financial decisions are deeply personal and shaped by individual experiences. What works for one person might not work for another because of their unique circumstances and values. This chapter highlighted the importance of understanding personal finance as a deeply personal journey influenced by unique individual experiences. Pessimism often sounds smarter and more plausible than optimism. People are drawn to pessimistic outlooks because of the potential risks they pose. This chapter was a good reminder to keep a balanced outlook and not be drawn excessively to pessimistic views that might cloud judgment. Key takeaways. Avoid getting swayed by popular financial narratives. Stay grounded in fundamental principles and avoid fads. This chapter reinforced the importance of staying grounded and not being swayed by the latest financial trends or narratives. Key takeaways. Building wealth is a combination of many small decisions and behaviors over time. The key is consistency and learning from experiences. This chapter brought together the overarching theme of the book, the importance of small, consistent actions and behaviors over time in building wealth. Key takeaways. Everyone has made financial mistakes. Being honest about those mistakes is key to learning and improving. This chapter was a comforting reminder that financial missteps are common, and that honesty and learning from those experiences are crucial. Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money emphasizes the importance of understanding our behavior and attitudes towards money. It teaches us that wealth is more about our behavior, consistent actions, and understanding the human aspect of financial decision-making rather than just knowledge or intelligence. The chapters reinforced the value of practical, grounded financial principles and the importance of a long-term perspective. This book shifted my perception of money, emphasizing the significance of behavior, psychology, and small, consistent actions over time in achieving financial success. Thanks for watching. Subscribe